Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'm taking a look at Hard to Get by Mats Emil Christensen, published by Gameplay Publishing. It's a game for 2 to 12 players, which plays in about 15 minutes for ages 10 and up. It's a party game, it's a word game, and before I start explaining how to play the game and share my thoughts on it, I'd like to ask you to please hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, and if you have, you're an absolute legend. It really helps the channel. Also check out my Patreon page by clicking the link in the description below. That'll take you to my Patreon page where you can see how you can support the channel and what perks supporters get. And with that out of the way, let's open up the box and set up a game. To set up Hard to Get, take all of these small cards with the words on them, and they are double-sided. Give that deck a shuffle, and then draw 16 cards to lay out in a 4x4 grid. Should there be words in there that one of the players doesn't understand, you can simply replace them with a new one from the deck. Just place the rest of the cards back into the box. One player is chosen to be the witness, and that player will be the player dealing with the dilemma cards. The rest of the players are called the detectives. So the witness shuffles the deck with the dilemma cards. So that's these cards, which have two different words on them every time. There's a regular deck of cards with words, which is this one. There's also a deck with easier terms, and those have the green edge, as you see here, around it. So you can use those optionally as well. It is recommended to use these for your first game. Then the witness shuffles the deck with the key cards, which is these black ones, and then you draw one of them secretly and you look at them without showing it to the others. And this key card will tell you which card, it's the red indicated card here from the grid, is your secret word. I'm just going to leave it open on the table now, but normally you would keep that to yourself. That's the setup. Let's explain the rules. The game is played over 5 rounds, and every round you will do the following. First of all, the witness draws a dilemma card from the deck and reads it aloud. So there's always 2 words on it. So in this case, it's Chihuahua and Labrador. The witness then decides which of the options on the card best matches the correct word card and tells the detectives. Then it's the detectives' turn, so they have to guess. So for example, if the word in this case was Rubik's Cube, so then the witness has to think about, all right, which word would best fit the Rubik's Cube? Well, let's see, we've got a Labrador and a Chihuahua, a big dog and a small dog. Rubik's Cube is a small object, so I'm gonna choose Chihuahua. That's the association that I'm making here. Of course, you're not telling that to the detectives, you're just picking the word. And now the detectives must remove at least one card from the grid that they agree on has nothing to do with the clue and thus isn't the correct word, and that card is put away. So let's say the detectives agreed that New Year's has nothing to do with the word Chihuahua, so they remove this card from the game. The detectives can then decide to continue removing cards until they say, well, okay, we're done removing cards. And then the witness reveals whether the correct word is still in the grid or has been removed. If it's been removed, you immediately lose the game. If not, you continue. So then this word was chosen. You can put that in the box like so at the round 1 mark, so you can all remember the previous clue, and the witness draws a new card and then decides which word to pick. Then you read aloud it's when or where. I guess we're gonna go for where with the Rubik's Cube. And you continue doing that, so until either the wrong card, so which would be the correct word, is removed from the grid, or until you get to the final round. So every time you would place the chosen word here after the players have decided. So here's gravy or sauce. The witness picks one of those. The detectives remove at least one card, and you continue swipe right or swipe left, which for Rubik's Cube is difficult because you can do both technically. So you put that there, And then in the final round, so let's say a number of cards have been removed and it wasn't the incorrect one, so that one is still in the game and we're still playing, then the final clue is given. And of course, after every round, there will be fewer and fewer cards left. And in the fifth and final round, all but one of the cards have to be removed. And if the players, the detectives, remove all the cards but the correct one, you win the game. And the easier clues will have simpler words. So for example, they'll have things like straight and crooked, hard and soft, light and heavy, rough and smooth, etc. So basically simpler words that you could optionally use instead of the normal ones, or mix them up if you so wish. And for an extra challenging game, you may choose to skip one of the rounds. So basically do it with 4 rounds instead of 5. And those are all the rules on how to play Hard to Get. Let's go to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts for Hard to Get. Let's start with the components. The box is nice. It has nice art on it. It also doubles as a card stand. So when you pick a card, you can slide it in here at the round 1, 2, 3, 4 and the final round spots, so you can see the word you picked. On the other hand, the players do kind of need to know which word you didn't pick, because that can also help. So you maybe can just slide it in a little bit like that. That still works. So that's kind of nice. The cards are also of a good quality themselves. There's nothing wrong with those. The artwork is very minimalistic. Basically, the only art in the game are these 2 characters on the box, and the lady there is also on the clue cards here, but that is it. There's not much of art here, so no extra points for that. The theme looks a bit Art Deco, you know, Great Gatsby-like. I do like the aesthetic of the box, but since this is a word game, it's not really important either, so no extra points there. Now, the gameplay. I have some things to say about the gameplay, and not all of them are good, unfortunately. So first of all, I don't like that it is so random. You could draw 5 clue cards in these 5 rounds, and none of them really have anything to do with your word. Some of these clues are just not very helpful, and you only get the 1 card per round with the 2 words on it. And if you're thinking, well, what does, in this case, gravy or sauce have to do? I mean, they're very similar words too. Sometimes they're opposite words. But if you don't know if this is going to help you, well, good luck picking one of those words and trying to make, you know, use of that, make sense of that. And then people are trying to get into your head and try to think, why did you pick this word over that word? And then try to remove some cards. But if you don't know yourself if this is going to be helpful, and you're just going to say, well, I guess this one over that one, then that's not going to really help your game. And some of these clues are just so, I mean, swipe right or swipe left. If I have parcours as my word, how is swipe right or swipe left going to help? I have no idea. Some of these cards are absolutely impossible. You do get some blank cards, so you can fill in your own clues and try to get some clues in there that might actually help you. And there's also the easy clues, but the easy clues are basically just simpler words, and those don't really help that much either. So it is very, very random. And also after the 5th round, when you have these 5 random words that you picked and you chose the best out of 2 somehow, then there might actually be, in one of those 16 words, there might be a word that actually matches all of these clues, or a lot of those clues, better than your word. So good luck getting them to choose your word over that one, because you can't say anything. And there is just no mitigation of a bad luck of the draw. So which brings me to the second point. There's nothing you can do to make this make sense. You can't say, for example, well, I'm going to pick this word, but it's exactly the opposite of my word. You can't say that. You have to pick one that has something in common. So like games like Similo, in Similo, you draw a card, which are images, of course, portraits, but you can say, well, this card has something in common, or you put it sideways and it does have nothing in common. It's opposite to my portrait in this case. So you have an option there. Also in Dixit, you draw 5 cards and you pick one card that has something in common with the clue that was given, right? So you have options. Now you just have the one card with the 2 words. You can also not make up your own clues like in Codenames or the Chameleon. So it's really, really difficult. Thirdly, the rules say that after every round, you have to discard at least one card from the 16 words. At least one. It also says if you could discard multiple if that might help you. But how would you know? There's no way of knowing if that's going to help you, because you don't know what the next clue is going to be. You might have one card that you picked in round 1 that actually does have something really in common with your cards if you're extremely lucky. And then you hope that they will remove a lot of other cards, because the next clue might be a card that doesn't help you at all and actually has stuff in common with other cards. So you want those gone before that card comes, but you can't know that. There's no foresight here, neither for the clue giver as for the detectives. There's no way of knowing. So how is that going to help? So in the end, and that is exactly what we did after a couple of games, you only discard one card every round because there is literally no good reason to remove more than one. It's just taking a risk. The best thing to do is remove one every round until round 5, till you have all 5 clues, and then start trying to match those and link the clues together and remove the rest of the cards. And even then, it's going to be very hard, or you're just going to have a lot of luck because you can't say anything as the witness. Now, point 4, the game is for 2 to 12 players. Personally, I would say 4 players maximum, because you really need to know each other very well. This game says it's hard because you need to crawl into somebody's brain and try to guess how they think and why they chose that clue. If you're 12 people, then there's 11 people who are gonna think differently, and some might not know you that well. So there's not gonna be consensus on which cards to remove, and then you're gonna have to make a choice at some point, and maybe the wrong card gets removed and you lose, and then people will say, well, I told you so, we shouldn't have removed that card. That's not fun. That's just not fun. I would say, 4 people with 1 clue giver and 3 detectives is about as good as you can get. That also gives you the best chances to actually win. Now, point 5, like I already said, after several rounds, we decided to house rule that we would add in the easy clues. Now, the rules do say if this is your first game, play with only the easy clues. But we wanted to try and get this right away with the normal cards, but it just didn't work. Then we added in the easy clues for the final round. That didn't really help. Then we tried it for the first round. That didn't help. We even mixed it up where we said, okay, we're going to draw 1 normal clue and 1 easy clue and pick from those 4 and then discard the other card every round. That helped somewhat because you simply have more choices. But basically, the best way to have a chance at winning is to draw multiple cards and then pick 1 word. But that's not in the rules. That's not how you're supposed to play it. It has to be that hard, and it just doesn't work. We have not won a single game. We played, at least 6 or 7 times, and the closest we got was 3 cards left. That's the closest we got with the house rules. And if you are going to need house rules to make a game work, then in my opinion, it's just not that good of a game. Now, it does have one good point, and that is that the game is quick. And I don't mean that sarcastically, as in, I'm glad it's over quickly, kind of, but not really. It is a fast game, and that is good, because games like Codenames, where you have to make up your own clues, I think is a better game, but it does have downtime. This game does not have downtime. You should draw a card, you pick one of the words, you put it in here, and that's it. So all the detectives have to do is discuss on which cards to remove, and then, like I said, in the first round, just remove one and move on until the 5th round. So yeah, it is a fast game. Now there's of course also language dependency because it's a word game, so obviously it's gonna be language dependent. I cannot flaw the game on that, but it is something you need to take into account if you decide on whether you want to pick up this game or not. The replayability is also pretty good, partially because it is fast. You can play again and again, and there's plenty of cards. There's a lot of cards in here, so there is plenty of gameplay. And like I said, if they ever make an expansion with more clue cards, then you'll have even more replayability, and it will fit in the box because the box is still big enough to have additional cards. And I kind of hope that they will make an expansion with new cards, and I kind of hope that they will rewrite the rules to make it better. The question is, of course, how? Are you gonna, like my house rules, have people draw more cards? I don't know. Kind of defeats the purpose of having two opposite words. But that is also something that I forgot to mention. Some of these words aren't really opposite words. This card has Chihuahua or Labrador. They're both dogs. So sure, one is big and one is small, but they're both dogs. That might not help you at all. This card is where or when. I don't even know how that's going to help if my word is parkour or power drill or James Bond. I don't know how that's going to help me. And yes or no. That might be, you know, personal taste. Hey, this is James Bond, yes or no? Well, I like James Bond, so I'm going to say yes. Okay, that might help, but I don't know. The clues are fun, though. There's fun things in there. There's SpongeBob in here. There's a pancake. There's a smoothie. The words are great. I do like the words. I just wish the game played better. So in the end, with so many other games out there that kind of do the same or a similar thing, but much better, I can't really recommend Hard to Get. If you want a game that makes associations, get Codenames. If you just want associations without words, with also 16 cards and elimination, get Similo. If you want competitive association, get Dixit. You get to draw 5 cards and choose one of those. If you want to give clues about an imposter, get the Chameleon. Super fun game. And if you want a mix between Dixit and the Chameleon, get Detective Club. I love that game. I cannot recommend it enough. And all of those games I have reviewed on my channel, and they all get thumbs up because they're so much fun. And this just does not compete. And I love word games, so I really wanted to like this, but sadly for me and the people I played with, this was a dud. I do want to thank the publisher for donating a copy for me to review. That is really appreciated, really does help the channel. But as I review for free, my reviews are always unpaid. You will always get an honest and unbiased review. And that's where you come in. So if this video helped, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe because that also really helps the channel. And please check out my Patreon page if you'd like to support what I do. There's a link in the description below, and you can also click the icon at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.